Worlds Apart, Chapter 6. Oyonju is not going to cooperate. Kangchul didn't do anything to intimidate her, just gazed with a gentle expression. Why won't you tell me how you disappeared from here so completely? For a second, her heart seemed to stutter. Then she realized he merely meant from the city, from where he could find her. I don't like for this to get around, but I have a pretty tight net of security and surveillance as a private investigator. I also get the feeling you didn't want the police to find me. You think you're a beautiful woman? He said with a grin. I think it's odd you'd give a description for someone who appeared after you were practically unconscious, when you are so detail-oriented and an investigator in your own way. You are sharp. I am a doctor, she noted, if not a child prodigy, and not a lapsed surgeon or a quack. His look turned sharp again. You seem to know some things that should be private. Maybe I'm just a good guesser. He pulled himself up now, away from the pillows propping him up, and scrutinized her. How was it he seemed to loom over her? Maybe it was just her own awe of the situation she was in. I can list a whole number of reasons you really want to talk to me, he said. First, if the police come, the charges will start with practicing medicine without a license and go from there. No, it was not just the situation. Kangchul was capable of turning on daunting intensity. Next, I'm on your side. My gut's telling me you saved my life and are worthy of trust. If you have some inside source of information on these attacks on my life, then I'd rather have you at my side than in prison. If your gut knows I'm on your side, can you trust me to come back under my own power? To talk to you when you've recovered? What benefit is there to me to let you go now? Yeonju hesitated, but felt she could be truthful as she said, I can gather some more information and figure out what is most helpful to you. Then, with one condition. He handed her a bag from on his nightstand, with a small wince from the twist to the side. She hurried to take it, though she had been planning to refuse whatever it was. A phone, he said. All your numbers were disconnected. I thought maybe it was because you were underground. The phone has a limited plan, but enough for you to call me. Or turn yourself in to the police. She glanced from the bag into his face. Will you call me? He asked. There was a question in the air now, and it wasn't just about her turning the phone on. His eyes held hers like she was an answer he kept waiting for. Sometimes, without thought or intent, a realization comes between two people. Whether he meant anything more by giving her a phone, there was a significance to it. Yeonju's face grew hot. Thank you, she said. Rest well. She turned and left before she did something incredibly stupid. The hospital had been modeled off the university hospital where she had worked. So she knew the back ways, and even found the bus stop where she expected it to be, just far enough from the hospital to see a little flurry of activity as some police cruisers drove up. Just as quickly they drove away, and night fell abruptly. Then morning came, in moments, and she stared at her watch while days seemed to revolve around her. Gradually, she felt warmer and warmer in her sweater, and just when she was accepting that she was hallucinating from shock, time seemed to finally stop. She was baking in the bus stop shelter, her watch saying it had only been 30 minutes, when the seasons had changed. She was wondering, blankly, whether she was going to have to ask someone what the day was, when she heard a ringing. She looked down at the phone Kangchul had given her. She must have automatically turned it on as she'd sat there thinking it was her own. She looked blankly at it for a moment, then picked up. Ms. Oyonju, said Kangchul's cheerful voice. I see you can answer the phone after all. Look across the street. A red sports car pulled to the far side of the road, and the window went down. Kangchul waved at her from inside. Come on, he said, still holding the phone. I've waited patiently. She went, defeated. When she got in the car, she said, You've been released so soon? Is 2 months soon? Felt like a long time to me. How have you been? She'd been sitting at a bus stop for 30 minutes. That was how she'd been. And she was still stuck in the world of a manhwa her father had made up. I was a little worried how you were doing, especially once I had to release your information to the police. But I guess I should have been more worried. You seem to have only one outfit to wear. Yeonju wondered if he was trying to embarrass her, or if he really didn't know how patronizing that sounded. Then he went on. We need to fix that. I'll ask Sohee where she shops. She was trying to figure out what a girl who did only have one outfit, in this world anyway, could do about a domineering offer like that when he pulled away from the curb and raced into traffic. Chul had been, more and more, resisting that powerful sense of what he should do, questioning where it came from. His decision to get Ms. Yeonju new clothes felt like doing what Kang Chul would of course do, but there was something more to it. Do you think that if you put clothes like Ms. Yoon So-hee's on me, I'll be beautiful like her? Yeonju asked with some dryness. Every woman is beautiful in her own way, Chul replied, and you more so than many. You are a bit of a lady killer, said Yeonju. This flattery makes me feel demoted in status, just like any woman you meet. Chul felt a pang of annoyance at this comment, again suggesting an unwarranted knowledge of his life. I don't take just any woman to buy clothes, though, was all he replied. He could tell she was uncomfortable with the situation, but making the best of it. This, in itself, was intriguing. His own reaction was intriguing. He could be calculating to get leverage in the course of his work, but there was very little benefit to this particular move. Yet it seemed right. They soon pulled up in front of a bright-windowed store. Though Chul had never been inside a high-end women's clothes shop before, the ladies within acted as though it were a regular occurrence and got him a chair to sit in while Yeonju tried on garments, assuming he would want to say. There was a slight frown on her face, making her docility about the whole process even more amusing. What game was she playing? If the game was continue to make Chul crazy with speculation, then she was on the right track. She came out in a few of the outfits to please the ladies, but it was clear she wasn't really interested in the offerings. Don't you think she would look nice in some flower patterns, he said, recalling her comment about whether she'd be prettier in clothes like Sohee wore. The sharp tailored clothing Sohee liked didn't suit her. So next she came out in a floral paisley dress with a flutter to it. The breezy fabric was soft on her slim figure and made her skin look brighter. What little Chul knew of women's fashions came from a choice to never miss a detail rather than an interest in style, but he felt ridiculously pleased that she looked so good in what he had suggested. She looked him in the eye, strode over, and slapped him across the face. He froze, letting the slap connect, because he wasn't sure if he deserved it. Had he overstepped by suggesting what she wear? The sting on his cheek was bearable. Trying to judge how he should react was the difficult part. Then he glimpsed confusion in her face as she cringed back, saying, Sorry. He was still touching the hot imprint left by her hand when she turned to him again. This time, as she swooped in, he was truly surprised. Not just because she kissed him, but because he didn't mind. Even though a small audience had gathered to see what Kang Chul was doing in a ladies' shop, even though she had just struck him, when she closed her eyes and leaned forward, his lips parted slightly. The light peck ended before he could think. Then she truly turned and ran. For a moment, though, the world around Chul stood still.